Hello. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be designing from scratch and making a sort of sci-fi inspired bomber jacket. Now I made one good couple of months ago now out of a sort of mustard yellow canvas. Now it's mustard yellow. It's really bright. It's just a bit much. I can't really go out in public wearing that thing. It's nuts. I mean, it's cool, but it's a bit much. So I'm going to make one over the next couple of days out of slightly more muted colours. I've done a lot of ordering of fabric for Mandalorian costumes and other Star Wars costumes. A lot of samples I've got, and none of the colours were right. That's kind of what happens. So I've got loads of fabric, loads of good stuff, loads of canvas and drill, that kind of stuff, and denims that I'm not going to use for anything else. So I'm going to see how much I've got, and I'm going to see what I can come up with. I've already got a pattern already drafted out for the bomber jacket. I'm going to make some alterations to it and move a couple of pockets around, maybe alter the design on the sleeves or whatever. We'll see what happens, see what inspires me. The original jacket was inspired by the jacket worn by Ghost in the Shell, the movie. It's sort of like with the longer sleeves, long cuff sleeves, that kind of style of bomber jacket. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool look. So I tried to sort of, mix that with the red jacket that Kaneda wears in the anime movie Akira. So it's a kind of combination of those, but as I said, it's bright yellow. It's a bit mad. Okay then, so this is the original jacket that I made, the yellow one. As you can see, that's pretty bright. I can't do it. I can't wear it. It's a bit much. My days for such bold fashion statements are long gone. But I like the design. I think it's kind of cool. I like these sort of padded sort of shoulders that I've got going on here. This has actually got wadding underneath it to sort of give it a bit more of a padded feel to it. It's quite a solid fabric. I like the fabric. It's 16 ounce upholstery weight duck canvas, so it's got a really strong feel to it, a really solid feel to it. Quite into the feature stitching that I've done. I mean, the long cuffs, they look weird, but they kind of look cool when they're on. But I think that's probably a feature that I will change. I'll probably just make the sleeves normal, with a normal cuff, normal bomber jacket style, rather than the longer ones. Because if you're wearing a sweater underneath this, you can't get your arm in, and it's really annoying. I realised that after I'd made it. So it's okay if you're wearing a t-shirt under it, that's fine. But I live in Scotland. T-shirt weather is once a year. So also a feature that I'm probably going to change is the location of the pockets. I put the pockets in the side seam here, but the problem with that is that when you wear it, your arms are sticking out at the side here, which I suppose in terms of if you were doing something like that for some sort of fashion editorial kind of shoot, it would be quite a cool, feature for models to pose, maybe, I don't know. But for practicality, if you're just walking about, you walk, get something out of your pockets, it's a total pain in the backside. I like I put a storm shield on the inside of it with the zigzag feature stitching. I kind of like that, and gave it quite a bold lining, bright blue. I thought that was quite cool. And this is my sort of little logo thing here, and these little arrows I put on quite a lot of my stuff. The back of it, I kind of like the back. I like this feature here, obviously a little detail up there as well, it's quite cool. The only problem I thought of doing this was, would it make it look a bit like a Ninja Turtle? I don't think it does. I might change that up a little bit. I might alter the stitch line design in it, or I might add an extra shape in the middle of it just to sort of take away that sort of turtle shell kind of look, because that's not cool. Is it? Is it cool? No, that's not cool. Don't want to be dressed as a Ninja Turtle bomber jacket. That would be weird. Another thing that I'm probably going to change is the collar. It's quite high up at the back, and this fabric is sort of solid as it looks. It's actually really stretchy and it kind of gives a little bit. I suppose it could be turned over, but I kind of don't really like that. The fabric needs reinforced on the inside, so that'll probably get reinforced with foam or some sort of wadding, just to sort of give it, just to make it a little bit more solid. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, so that's the original jacket, and yeah, it's a bit much. Fabrics that I'm going to have a look at that I have are this one is a sort of dark taupe. This is denim, dyed denim. So it's twill weave, so it has that sort of like diagonal weave pattern to it. I only have a metre of this. I like the colour. It's possibly a bit too nothing, a bit too drab, but it may work for some sort of features. Then I have this one, which is twill. Again, same diagonal weave, twill weave. This is quite thin though. I wouldn't really be wanting to make the jacket out of this because it's just too thin. This would be okay for a pair of sort of lightweight trousers, but not the jacket, not a bomber jacket anyway. Not the style, not the design that I want to go for. Got this stuff, which is 7-ounce duck canvas. This has got a decent weight to it. I quite like this. I used this on the yellow jacket for the piping. So it's good for that kind of thing. It's not too heavy, but it's you know it's robust enough to sort of keep its shape if you're using it for any structural things. This is I think this is a 10-ounce duck canvas. I think I have a couple of meters of this, or maybe even 1 meter. I'm not really sure. This was a sample. Sage green, or was it dusty green? It was called. It's an okay colour. It's again possibly a bit too muted. So, and then I've got this, which is another taupe. You can see it's a sort of slightly different, slightly more brown as opposed to a grey. Now this is a 8-ounce duck canvas. No, it's not. It's 10-ounce duck canvas. So that's a good weight. That's a decent weight. I use that weight fabric for making the Mandalorian undersuits, the sort of flight suits. So that's a decent fabric. I don't have a lot of it though. And then I have this stuff, which is 10-ounce duck canvas. I've got a lot of this. This I originally ordered for the undersuit for the Mandalorian costumes, but it was far too light. I needed more of a charcoal grey. I needed more of, you know, that kind of colour. But this fabric was too light for what I needed. So I've got this, but it's just a bit too. The shade's just a little bit off for what I wanted. I've got quite a lot of that, so I could use that. And then I've got this stuff, which is 16-ounce upholstery. So this is the same type of fabric as the yellow, mustard yellow jacket. This is, what do they call this? Moss green, I think this was called. So I like this. I like this. This is what I originally made my Mandalorian undersuit when there was confusion and dispute as to what colour the suit was. Some say it was grey, some say it was green. So I made my original one out of this green. Turns out it's not, it's grey. So I have a bit of this left over. So I quite like that. And then I also have this, which is beige in the same weight fabric. So I quite like this too. It's not too yellow, but it's not too pale. It's quite a nice tone. So the colours that I was thinking of combining were this one and this one. Possibly using the grey to do some piping or features somewhere on it. I was going to actually do the sort of oval shape in the background in the beige colour and the rest of the jacket in green, but then it really would look like a Ninja Turtle, and that would be bad. So probably change up the design on the back just to do away with that, and hopefully that's not going to stick in my head. For the cuffs, I'm gonna use this. So this is the same type of fabric that I used on the yellow bomber jacket. This is just a green version. It's a pretty decent colour match. It's pretty close for the main body fabric that I'm going to be using. So that's pretty cool. Also, going to, because it's a bomber jacket, I will be lining the body of it with this orange quilted stuff, which, you know, it's kind of tradition that, you know, bomber jackets had an orange quilted lining. So I'm going to use that because that will be cool. It's quite a contrast. But I don't want to use the this orange stuff on the sleeves because it will just make the sleeves feel too stiff. So I'm probably going to use some sports mesh to line the sleeves, just to make it a little bit more comfy. So you can't feel, if you are just wearing a t-shirt under it, can't feel any of the, you know, the seams, any of the stitch lines coming through, any of that kind of thing. So probably just make the sleeve lining out of this stuff. So they are the colours I'm going to be using. So I think that's going to turn out pretty well. So I'm going to possibly draft up the pattern, change some of the features, see how we get on. The first thing I decided to do was to copy trace the pattern pieces I used for the first jacket. I had these sort of curved sections at the bottom and at the top, and I didn't really want to use that same design in the next jacket I was making. So what I decided to do was trace these pieces out, join them together where the seams would be, so that I have a single pattern piece that I can start to work from. Now I know that I was not going to be using a single solid piece, I was going to be cutting the top section off, but this is a good way to start, starting with the solid pattern piece and then cutting it up and retracing to add in the seam allowances. Now this is a fairly laborious process. It takes a while tracing all the pattern pieces, making sure they match up, then cutting those pieces up and then retracing those pieces, making sure everything looks right, fits well together. So this process takes a while because I was having to do it for 4 or 5 different pieces, and I have to redraft a couple. I made a couple of mistakes in this process, so I had to redraw. Now that the front panel is done, I can see the 2 sections here. I was going to trim down the collar. I didn't want to have the same size collar as I had on the yellow jacket, as it was too high up on the back of the neck and quite awkward to wear. So this is me just reshaping and trimming down the collar piece. Now this is me struggling to find the right shape curve using my French curve. I don't want the collar to be too narrow at the end because I have to take into consideration that there's a 1 to 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. This is me going through all my different curves, trying to find the right shape that works for the ends of the collar.
I'd already drafted the centerpiece of the back. So these two pieces here are the original pattern, which I was going to reuse. But the middle section I had changed to have a circular feature in the centre, just to do away with that turtle shell kind of look that I was worried about. Now that's the majority of the pattern pieces all laid out on the fabric, ready to cut.
Most of the pieces have been cut now, so I've got, these are my sleeve pieces. I decided sort of at the last minute to change the colour scheme. The beige and the green, I wasn't really kind of liking it too much, so I decided to go with the grey features. I mean, it might still look a bit nuts, but I think it just looks a little bit less in your face. So the shoulder details for the sleeves I'm going to do in grey. So these are the pieces for the sleeves. I've got these pieces there for the storm shield that go on the inside. So I'll decide which way around I want it, whether I want the green facing out or the grey facing out. I've not decided yet. Front panel, just like that. Probably going to have grey piping along there. Maybe do some feature stitching in grey down here, and then there'll be a jet pocket going in there. The back section is like so. Now, so that this section didn't, the centre section didn't look like a turtle shell, I decided to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to do the outer part of it in grey, and then I decided to do a circular section in the middle, and that would just be in green. So that'll all sort of fit together in that kind of style. Do some feature stitching on the grey and some feature stitching on the green. Just see how I feel closer to the time. Also got, this is just the front facing for the, this just goes on the inside, and this matches up with the lining. So that'll be the front lining. Back lining is just the same, orange. And I think that is most of the pieces that I've cut so far. I've still got the jets to do for the pockets. I've still got to do the collar and the cuffs, and a couple of little features that go down at the bottom round about the sort of front where the front waistband meets. But I think that's pretty much ready to start putting together.
So this is me starting to put the seams together. I use an industrial sewing machine. I only got this about maybe a month ago. Up till that point I've been using an industrial machine. If anybody's kind of thinking of getting an industrial machine, I highly recommend it. This thing has speeded things up so much. I can use heavier threads, and it's just, the stitching's great. It goes through multiple layers of fabric at 100 times the speed of a domestic machine. Obviously it comes at a price, but if you're doing a lot of sewing, then yeah, I would recommend getting an industrial machine.
the back pieces all put together and the sleeves put together. I wanted to get these pieces done first because these are the ones that will have most feature stitching and colour blocking in them, so I wanted to get those together to see how they looked. I like the colour combination, I think it's pretty cool. I decided to go for a sort of checkered top stitching feature on these. It's same distancing that I use for when I make Scarif Rebel hats, so it kind of reflects that, which I really like. It's nice and simple, and it kind of breaks up the solid colour. It looks quite cool. So now we're going to move on to the front panels. For the front panels, I'm actually thinking of putting a pocket in. Because it's going to look quite plain in comparison to the back and the sleeves. What I'm thinking of doing is putting a pocket in here with a flap over it, and see how that looks. I might still put the piping across the top here. We'll see how we go. I'll try one out, see how it looks. It might be too much fabric going on this seam if I have a pocket flap coming out of it and piping, so I might leave that. I might pipe around the pocket flap actually. That might be something I could do, just to add a bit of extra colour to it. Cool, so we'll get on with that. Okay, so that's the front and the back stitched together. We've got the back and we've got the front pieces there. Next step is to attach the sleeves. Then it's going to start to look a bit more like a jacket, which right now it kind of looks a bit like a hunting vest, which is not really the look I'm going for. Yeah, so time to attach the sleeves. So here's the finished garment. There's a couple of things that I changed on it as we were going. One of the main things is the detail at the top of the sleeve here. Originally I had that as a grey panel, but I didn't really like it. It did look too much like a hunting vest. To be honest, it looked terrible. I also didn't like the checkered top stitching that I had, so I unpicked quite a lot of that, so that now it's just, on this panel here it's just horizontal lines, and then on this panel it's vertical lines. And then when I was unpicking this side I made a mistake and I unpicked the wrong stitch lines, so that side is horizontal and that side is vertical. I kind of like the fact that it's different. Okay, you know, it works pretty well. It looks pretty cool. I don't know why I chose to put in jet pockets. I'm really not very good at putting them in. really not good at it at all. This is the better of the two, and I always think I'm going to make them too big, and then I always make them too small, so I can just get my hand in there and no more. And this side is, to be honest, kind of a bit of a disaster. That's something I really need to work on. I need to get better at doing those. I put a two-way zip on it. I don't know. Well, to be honest, I put a two-way zip in it because that's the only zip I had in the right size. But I like two-way zips, I think they're kind of cool. Put some pockets in, just to add a bit of extra detail to the chest, because originally I didn't have those in, it just looked too plain. The lining, so I'll put a storm shield on the inside. The lining, as you can see, is that orange quilted stuff, and put my little sort of heat transfer little logo up there. The sleeve lining is sports mesh, as I didn't want the sleeves to feel too bulky. A couple of other things that I've changed is the length of the ribbed cuffs. I've made a lot smaller, and also the height of the collar. I took down about 3 inches off of that because the one on the yellow jacket was just a little bit too high. It felt quite cumbersome and kind of awkward around your neck. So I got rid of that. This is much more manageable, much more comfortable to wear. And it's nice to wear. It doesn't feel too stiff. I got the sort of the bottom cuff is quite tight. It's not too baggy. It doesn't gape at the back or anything like that. I always find that that's an issue with some jackets. They're cut too square and they gape at the back, and it's kind of weird. It bothers me. So I always try to make jackets that don't do that. Not always with great success, to be honest. Anyway, so that's it. That's the jacket that I made. Hope you enjoyed watching that. Any questions, any comments, please feel free. And hopefully I'll get back to making some Star Wars stuff in my next video. Maybe some other props. Maybe do some weathering techniques. That would be quite cool. Anyway, thank you.